Hello there, intrepid dungeon delvers! With the release of the new Wounded World dungeons in North American Tera, thousands of players are scrambling about, trying to kill each other for a freaking belt, a shiny piece of jewelry, or generally being a stupendous doorknob when it comes to group play. Instead of slaving away with these half-wit poly idiots, you and your intelligent self have decided to take on the solo instance of the Wounded World update, Ghillieglade. This way, your magnificence can truly shine without having the despicable rabble dragging you down to the disgusting drenches. So, you're probably thinking, well, if Ghillieglade is a solo instance meant for one person, that must mean that it's completely easy and I can do this with my eyes closed while having intercourse with several exquisite bitches. Wrong! Contrary to popular belief, Ghillieglade requires a disgustingly high skill ceiling and the most refined intelligence mankind has to offer. Naturally, this sounds right up your alley, my dear viewer, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty details of Ghillieglade, shall we? So let's set up the basic premise of Ghillieglade for you. Ghillieglade is a dungeon where you traverse a small distance, monotonously grinding through two gimmicky fights to save the Guardians of Banyakas, the grandfather of all Geodudes, and the bane of any would-be gardener's existence. However, here's an interesting fun fact. You don't have to save these two guardians. In fact, our warrior here, Clea, will demonstrate that you can simply leave both guardians to die in a bloody pool of inferiority as you go to strike at Banyakas. If you choose to leave the guardians alone, or perhaps one guardian alive but the other dead, you will have to destroy the mind control crystal protecting Banyakas, then chop the Rudy motherfucker down a notch with fire and axe or whatever horrifying weapon you wield. Since you are of course an extreme badass who wants to clear this dungeon as fast as possible, fighting Banyakas without saving the two guardians is surely the way to go. After all, how much harder could it? After dying several times, you realize that perhaps it might benefit you to actually protect the two guardians. So let's get started, shall we? The first guardian is a retarded giant who seems to have lost motor functions in his legs, thus displaying perhaps the largest box of text known to Tera history when he requests you to protect him in a wave-style gauntlet of enemies coming in via invincible crystals that will break as the waves progress. As you spam your auto-attack mindlessly due to the sheer engaging content you're experiencing, you will eventually see some pudgy-looking fatties that are composed of moss and feces. Be sure to slay these peons, as they tend to shit all over the mushroom-like monsters that are coming by the dozens. And, if you've taken any decent biology class, you can simply infer from the timeless equation, shit plus mushrooms equals really shitty mushrooms. In other words, they get stronger so long as the fatty is alive. After falling asleep for 30 minutes while holding down the left mouse button, you've saved the first guardian. Congratulations! The next one is just as horrifyingly boring as the first. When arriving at the scene, you find a pile of rubble weeping as you see another pair of rubbles side by side in the distance. Now, by far, this is going to be the most physically tasking experience you've faced in your time with Tera. Are you ready to have your mind blown by the difficult set of mechanics you're about to have thrown your way? Yes? Well, awesome. The two Petroliths at the end of the map will slowly make their way toward the injured Petrolith that was probably bullied into submission and eventually murder the poor bastard if they are not kept at bay. Your job? Play ping pong as you bounce from each Petrolith, generally being a nuisance to both of them until the injured Petrolith gathers the stones, get it, to come in and basically wreck the other two with a single god mode move that you wonder why and how it even came to become so injured in the first place. Now, you're ready to face Banyakas, grandfather of all Geodudes, lord of the forest, purveyor of roots and grass. Anyways, before entering the fight with Banyakas, you'll find two crystals before his bridge. One will grant you a modest damage boost, while the other will practically make even the greatest dumbass invincible when getting smashed around by Banyakas. The damage boost is preferable to the healing classes who lack the adequate amount of DPS to power through what they're about to experience is the longest fight against a stationary crystal ever, while the healing crystal is geared towards DPS and tanks as they feel the encumbering boredom while slashing away at the mind control crystal that keeps Banyakas being a royal bastard. So, allow me to explain the fight in a nutshell with key points where even a baby Popori could understand. 1. Stay out of the bad orange circle to prevent being drenched in awful purple goop. 2. Go inside the bad orange circle with arrows pointing inward to prevent yourself from being spewed on by fire from a fucking tree. Yeah, I know, it's perhaps one of the most interesting contradictions of Tera. A tree spewing fire. 3. Watch out for more bad circles. 4. Watch for bad text cues where he'll spawn a friggin' line of fire at you. And 5. Lastly, pelt away his foresty minions that drop motes if for some reason you're magically dying at this extremely engaging piece of content. If you follow these steps and have managed to break all 10 layers of health on the control shard crystal, you'll soon be interrupted by a cockblock tree that apparently refuses to let you slay the grandfather bastard, paying tribute to you in order to spare his life. Not having much of a choice, you're left with your probably subpar loot box that didn't contain a necklace, brooch, or anything of use save for a Rubra token, some gold, a herp-derp chest, and probably under half an hour of your time gone. With all that in mind, you're now mentally prepared to start slamming away at Ghillieglade after Ghillieglade, mixing it up with the idiocy of other human beings in the 5, 7, and 10-person dungeons soon after. Have fun! Contrary to popular belief, Ghillieglade requires a disgustingly high skill ceiling, and the first guardian is wow, who's the retarded one now? When he requests you to protect him in a wave-style gauntlet of enemies coming in at the mind control kiss.